Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by JJ Bull, Jon Mackenzie. Good Lord, what's this barking is coming from? And Reuben Pinder.
Wow.
Also,
I was in the noise you made.
What did I say? Did I? Oh, I went because before I start saying my own name, I go.
Or you are the sort of Pac-Man creature, and this is you've actually been
That's
activated.
True. I'm eating ghosts in the air.
Yes.
What can you say? Anyway, Steve Hankey's also here. Oh no. There was something deeply unpleasant about that, Steve. No, if you're going to make an animal noise, at least you have to make a sort of aggressive animal noise.
Not a cat.
Lizard noise.
Make a lizard noise.
What does a lizard do? I'm just thinking of a snake.
Make the
now.
noise.
That's a snake.
Yeah.
It's a reptile.
Not technically a lizard, is it?
Yeah. Anyway, we're also joined by Eden, who's amortized cousin on work experience.
Woof.
Well, there you go, it's a whoop. Anyway, no doubt Eden has learned all about how to do a professional podcast today. Either that, or maybe you'll have to stick around and watch somebody else do it. But it's been fun, hasn't it? Now, what's on the list today? What did we talk about? Manchester United.
Did we?
We did. Is it a surprise? We did. Some people have said recently we've talked about them too much, but they just keep winning. What are you going to do? And also, you keep listening. So go yourself. Man United's defeat of Arsenal saw the Red Devils, writes Steve, claim another famed victory against a title contender. Are they back, or were they lucky and will probably lose to Fulham next time out? We discuss today. And there's some mixed opinions on that, I would say. Very exciting. Is Carrick the next Roberto De Zerbi, or as John has termed him, Michael DeCarrick, which I love.
Definitely me, yeah.
No, you said Michael DeCarrick.
I did say that.
I think I said Michael De Zerbi, which was nowhere near as good as Michael DeCarrick. Now, we try out a few portmanteaus of those names. I mean, we just did them there. We kind of spoiled that bit, didn't we, Steve? Didn't read on. I didn't read on. Portmanteau always makes me think of Port Merion. Anyone ever been to Port Merion?
No.
What a fantastic
in
place.
Where
A good port?
It's it's in North Wales. It's where they filmed The Prisoner. Do you remember that show, The Prisoner, with the big blob?
Be seeing you.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you. Anyway, it was designed, I can't remember exactly when, but it was designed to look like a Mediterranean village town.
It's very colourful.
It's incredibly colourful. Look at some photos of it.
Italian immigrants, where
yeah.
they wanted to make their village, but in North Wales for some reason.
It's incredible.
It's nice.
And also the birds are all very tame. They come up to you.
The first picture on Google looks like that part of Italy on the Amalfi Coast called Cinque Terre with different coloured houses.
It does look like that. There's also a beautiful pet cemetery and some lovely old Japanese trees. People should go and visit. I would say that's worth driving.
Nice.
Yeah, Port Merion. Anyway, we try out some portmanteaus. That was what reminded me of that. We also play the Rondo. Very exciting. JJ slightly harshly treated, although we realise maybe he then wasn't. I don't know.
Rules are rules.
Rules are rules. Yeah, how about that? Stick around for that one. After the Rondo, we discuss whether the mental pressure Arsenal are under, right, Steve, is starting to tell. And will they crack like fragile little eggs? Again, Steve writes that. Did we talk about eggs, or was that just an original?
No, it just came to my mind.
That was just, yeah.
It's what I'm feeling at the moment.
He's driving out right now,
Yeah.
Steve.
Look at eggs in the shops now already, you know.
When I was a teenage songwriter, I remember writing a song once, and I played it to I had a manager at the time, and I remember him, it was the worst, most harsh criticism I've ever received, was that the lyrics on one of my more recent ones sounded a little bit too sixth form. You know, I was in sixth form at the time, so I remember thinking, well, that makes sense. But it's for some reason it's coming to mind now.
Speaking of, can I promote a song that I wrote?
Oh, please do, yeah.
the lyrics are, you can determine yourself. I put a song
They're a little
out.
bit preschool, the lyrics.
Yeah. People keep saying you should be a children's entertainer. I'm like, I think is that offensive? I don't know.
My wife would say no, but she is a teacher.
children.
She is a children's
Well,
entertainer,
children's
effectively, yeah.
Well, I put a song out on last Thursday called If Bergkamp Can. It's not really about Dennis Bergkamp, but it's a simple marketing device. Very clever, I'm sure you'll agree. And it's doing all right. Doing all right. So if you want to listen to that, that would be great, because it's not doing as well as I wanted it to.
This advert has turned into...
Well, I like doing it in character as though I'm the best to ever do it. And of course I am. But also, I need more people to listen to this song.
Okay, well, listen to If Bergkamp Can.
Yes.
Yeah.
By JJ Bull. That's me.
By JJ Bull.
What's the second part of that sentence?
It doesn't
implied?
mean that you can't.
Right.
Right.
If Bergkamp Can doesn't mean that you...
It is catchy.
It's
so it's sort of
designed
like
to make you can interpret it the way you wish. I tried to make it deliberately ambiguous.
I like
I don't think it scans very well in your accent, I'll be honest.
It's Bergkamp.
It's got a guitar solo in it.
You've really got in my
Bring it
head
back.
about transfer, by the way.
What was that noise?
Did you hear that noise as
we-
well?
Yeah.
That was
Is
the
that
Zoom
the rapture?
notification.
It was a message from
Are we in heaven now?
Apparently, the Athletic Football Podcast are in here in 5 minutes, so we better.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bergkamp can pull off the flukiest goal of all time while committing a foul on a
No,
Newcastle
no,
defender.
no.
Then
Don't
it doesn't
you
mean you can't.
Dare, Reuben.
We've got to go because we're being rushed out. Other things we talk about: Leeds, but not really Leeds. Crystal Palace instead of Leeds. We talk about Burns night, and also we played Points of Ad, and that was the entire show. Is that about it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there you go then. Hey. Great. Where else to begin, of course, than with Manchester United? Wait, I've done it wrong. Arsenal 2, 3 Manchester United, and a stunning, extraordinary and surprising result over the weekend. Manchester United, of course, right, Steve, threw a cat amongst the chickens of the Premier League title race by beating Arsenal at the Emirates on Sunday. Anyway, it was a week after their victory over Manchester City as well in the big derby. Arsenal had led 1-0. Didn't they? It's easy to forget that they were winning 1-0 at one point in the game, and also that for the first, I think, at least 23 minutes. I don't know if Man United even touched the ball. It was kind of a bizarre ending to an amusing game. Anyway, the result, a big boon, right, Steve, for fans of Man City, Aston Villa and neutrals who want a genuine title race, as Arsenal's lead has now been cut to 4 points. How about that, JJ? Man United, are they actually back?
Well,
BACK back?
it's a loaded question
It is.
because it would be very easy to say yes. And the thing is, though, this game was really fun, and it does feel a bit like
You're going to say yes?
no, the adults are back in the room,
Right.
Kind of. So I know it's because they've just beat 2 teams in a row, but they did just beat City and Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I do remember at the start of the season thinking, oh, they might be onto something here because they were very good against who was-
Arsenal. First
Opening
game of the
day.
season.
So like it could just be that the players are stepping up and they're right into it. But there's something about having maybe it's just because of our age and what we've seen with Man United over the last 2 decades or whatever. Having Carrick there, we recognise him. I know what he is. And that team, like Gary Neville kept saying, I agree, it looks like what I associate with Man United. They're there to go up against a team. They're not just...
Michael Carrick's wearing Alex Ferguson's coat, isn't he? He's wearing the same coat.
He's wearing his shoes.
Making me think of my daddy. Yes.
But there's something about it and the way that they were just good. They were good at things. Like it makes sense. Like you're going to be up against Arsenal for the first 20 minutes because you're away. So that's normal.
Yeah.
Normally, you try and slow things down, calm the crowd down, and don't let them into it. Arsenal didn't really, I would say, create too much other than like set pieces, and then they were trying a little bit, you know.
There was one very clear-cut chance that forced a good save from Lomans, but I don't think there was much else.
Yeah, and I think that's always going to happen anyway. You can't
Yeah.
deny everyone forever. I mean, Arsenal pretty much can. That's how they're so good in the league and top of it. But there's something about what United did there, and it's like I think a lot of it's very simple. You know, it's back to a formation and a system that all the players kind of understand. You're playing on the counter when you can. You're doing the 4-2-3-1. But what you also saw, like the thing that I noticed most, and I tweeted about it, is I noticed about 49 minutes in, and there was a point when United were pushed high up the pitch, so maybe the centre-backs were 5 metres from the halfway line. Harry Maguire had the ball. There's a bit of pressure coming towards him, and rather than pass back to the keeper, which is what I'd always see teams do nowadays, you push it back, the other team pushes up, you're not even baiting the pressure, you're just taking them up the pitch, so then you can launch it long and there's space, bit of chaos, you win the second ball and you go from there. Instead, you just pushed it forward and then they try and chase it that way. So Arsenal were never allowed to like push them up because Arsenal are amazing out of possession. So if you allow them higher up the pitch, I think this is what the plan was. Rather than let Arsenal push them up and put them under pressure, they just kept going at Arsenal, which is something they're probably not used to. You know, you shouldn't really do that because they could easily counter you, whatever. And it's that shift in mentality, which is what the big teams are supposed to do. And just by acting like a big team, I think that maybe makes the players behave in a different way. And then there's a feeling about it. Like, I know it's early and they're playing Fulham on the weekend, which is exactly the kind of game that they would have lost anyway over the whole season. And something will happen. You'll be like, wow, Carrick's been found out now. He's done. But like I've said for ages, like a new manager comes in, if like they have to do well from the start because it buys you time and it buys you buy-in from fans, but the players seem to just have responded, from what I can see of this game, to Carrick better than maybe they have done to other players that have come in. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Maybe I'm getting carried away with it, but it's just
Carricked away.
Carricked away. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure I'll be taken down by John.
Well, I don't know. I mean, first things first. I guess we should say they were good and exciting. It didn't seem as though they played as well as they did against Manchester City, partly because Arsenal weren't as good as were better than Man City were. John, now before I ask you this question, I feel like because of all of the stuff we've said about Aston Villa recently, we should acknowledge at least that 2 of Man United's goals here were kind of incredible long shot goals that maybe you wouldn't expect to go in every time they score. So despite, they play very well, maybe there's also a little element of luck in the final result. The game could have finished a couple of different ways, although it seems as though maybe Man United deserved the victory. Remind me why you shouldn't hire an interim coach on a permanent basis? I knew 2 weeks ago. Now I can't recall.
The issue for me is that we don't know anything.
Right.
Like we're 2 games into into an interim career, or a second interim stint, I guess. But what do we know? We know that they played against Man City, they've played against Arsenal. They played very similar approaches in both games. They were able to spend long times suffering.
Exactly the same starting lineup as well, wasn't it?
Sitting deep, yes, of course, and. Beyond that, there's certain things that we can say that we know about Michael Carrick's approach. There's just not a huge amount of evidence that we can go with here. The other thing,
as of yet,
yeah, and the other thing is, I guess,
quickly say something positive so that fans don't.
No, well, look, you're asking. I'm not saying anything positive or negative.
I framed the question. It sounds negative though.
It's like me.
Explain why it's not negative.
Tossing a coin twice and it coming up heads both times, and then being like, "Well, coin is always going to come up heads forever."
Negative. That sounds negative.
It is negative because that's how analysis works, right? Analysis often is negative, right? It has to.
Let's find out why this isn't going to work.
It has to peel back, and the club will be employing people who are analysing this to be like, why is this not good? Why? What are the things that we maybe are missing?
Okay, so with that caveat, then, with the caveat to the listeners at home that analysis is about finding out what the club isn't good at, what would you say from the 2 games? Okay, you don't know anything, but what do you feel like you might know?
Before saying that, I should also say I think when you're an interim coach, the context is entirely different, right? Mm-hmm. Reuben Amorim is brought in to take over the team and take them in a direction, right? And that direction was always meant to be, we want to compete with teams at the top level, playing modern football and football that will sustainably and repeatably get us playing in a certain way.
Yeah.
Michael Carrick's been brought in for the rest of the season, so another 15 games. And as a result, I think immediately the pressure drops for everyone. There's no pressure on Carrick. If it doesn't work out, he can just be like, I'm just an interim. What do you expect me to do in that time?
I'm just Michael Carrick.
Exactly. The players aren't really fighting for anything other than Champions League football right now, which is looking quite doable. And they've got 1 game a week, right? So pressure's off there to an extent, I think. And when you look at the teams around them, even like Liverpool lost. You've got Chelsea who've been up and down. It's a very doable run to top 4, let alone top 5, which will probably get Champions League.
Sure.
So I think that's the context is how representative is this of what you want Michael Carrick to be? Because I think if they do employ Carrick, then that shifts to being not just are we able to be a competent football team, it's are we able to get back to the top of the Premier League and consistently and sustainably challenge. Now, that I think you might take the 2 games that we've just seen and be like, what more evidence do you need than beating Manchester City and Arsenal? But those are very specific kinds of game, right? And I think that the Did You Notice video that I've just recorded is all about risk versus risk aversion. Because if you watch that game, it's very clear that for a team like Arsenal, they are going to be risk averse. They are going to try and treat possession as something that is a means of them defending. So, first 30 minutes, they kept the ball for a long periods. They were able to control the game. They didn't create a huge amount, but they also didn't give much away, which against a team like Man United who are going to counter-attack, that's a pretty good way of approaching approaching it.
Yeah.
Manchester United, on the other hand, were able to be way more risky, right? If you look at the second goal, it comes from Lisandro Martinez playing quite a risky pass into pressure to Dorgu, and then Dorgu and Fernandes play a couple of one-touch passes between them. Yeah. They draw players towards them, they create the space for the shot.
Which, by the way, that whole sequence kind of happened over and over again, didn't it? And 95% of the time, it didn't come to anything.
Sure, yeah, it happened fairly regularly. They didn't generate a huge amount of chances, I thought, in the second half.
No.
But yeah, I think, what's at stake there for them? Okay, we play some risky passes, we lose the ball, maybe we lose the game, but we've lost the game at the league leaders at their place. It's not the worst thing in the world, as long as you put in a positive performance and you are aggressive and I think, competent, which is, I think, the word that I would use to describe what we've seen from Manchester United so far. And that's coming off the back of seasons where they've not been competent at all. So that is, for me, a massive jump up. Huge amount of respect for Carrick, the amount of levels he's got out of the team in a short space of time. But I guess they are in a situation where they can play that way. If it doesn't come off, you'll be like, fine, you lost to Arsenal at the Emirates.
As expected.
As expected. The big question is, as JJ also mentioned, what happens now on this run where you've got teams like Fulham where you have to be the protagonist. You can't expect the opponent to be the protagonist. I suspect that they'll be good. I suspect they'll be fine in those situations, but we don't know.
We don't know because we've seen them play two similar teams, big teams whom they can counter-attack against, especially.
And every Manchester United manager has results,
done that.
Even
exactly.
when they've not been competent.
The one kind of I almost don't want to utter it out loud because I know what the response will be, but I do genuinely think that if Ruben Amorim was still in charge, I think they'd win one of these games probably. I think they play well in both of them.
They did beat City under Amorim.
They did, and they played really well against Arsenal the first game of the season. I'm not trying to take it away from Michael Carrick, and obviously there's a difference and there's a positivity that wasn't there before, but I don't think it's that no one's reinventing the wheel here. What I will say is that the thing I have found a bit surprising but also pleasing about Manchester United's performances in the last two games is they haven't just been counter-attacking. They've played through the block quite well in both games, and they've been a bit lucky at times in terms of the intricacies and their passes coming off. I think the Bruno Fernandes Dorgu one for Dorgu's goal against Arsenal is a perfect example of this.
That was really reminiscent of Wilshere and Giroud.
I thought that as well, just the bing bang, bing bang, bong.
But also, exactly, but the angles of it as well. And then
for sure,
it's a brilliant shot, but it's low percentage.
And does this help them against teams like Fulham? We've said a lot about how there are teams well set up to play against elite football sides, maybe struggle more against teams that might be in a more low block against them, or you might expect them to be. But do those kind of things help them win in those games?
Well, I think having players, I like having players close together so you can play short passes, because I think if you're as good as the individual players United have and you have connections with each other, you're going to be better rather than having everyone spread out to try and then have big distances between players, having to knock it forward, trying to then win the ball with pressing. You can leave yourself open in those situations that we saw constantly with Amorim, where they can run into space, or with Ten Hag even, they run into space that's been left because of the way that you're trying to play. So it's maybe one thing, but you don't know what they're going to do against Fulham, because Fulham won't know what are the strengths and weaknesses. So like they said, two of those goals that United scored against Arsenal were absolute pingers from miles out, right? So you can't guarantee that, but you can guarantee players will have a chance to have a dig, right?
Unless you are Aston Villa, right?
A team like Fulham could approach that game and try to dominate the ball because it's...
You've got a hair, I've got to get it. Keep going.
They could dominate the game and they could try to dominate the game in their approach because it's only Man United. But their better option would surely be, well, we don't know if United are any good at this, so let's just let them have the ball, and then just try and do what United have done to better teams to them.
The thing that I've been surprised at is that no one has talked more about how this is very Roberto De Zerbi, the way that they're playing under Carrick, right? Which is this idea of you try and generate central progression through combinations.
Roberto DeCarrick.
Yeah. That's a good play on words.
So bad.
See what you've done. You've
Michael
taken his
De Zerbi.
Yeah. Even putting the foot in the ball. They put the studs in the ball for ages.
And that's what they do, right? They move the ball side to side until they find a potential opening, and then they try and do these tempo shifts through quick combinations of players. And that's a perfectly cromulent way of playing, and plenty of teams do that. But the message, I guess the lesson from Roberto De Zerbi in the Premier League was that as soon as teams stopped allowing them the spaces to play into, and they sat deep, they struggled, and that's the reality of those kind of games. And we can, for all we talk about teams like Arsenal who want to control games, force their opponents into low blocks. If you play the way that Carrick is playing well enough, you will naturally produce low blocks, right? And so in my opinion, the genius of Guardiola was that he was like, what's the hardest thing we can do? Like, if we're successful, what's the best sort of conditions we can hope to create? It's low blocks. So let's optimize to be able to break down low blocks and just force teams into that. And I think that for me, that's the question that I have, is what happens when this team do come up against low blocks, and then you have a bunch of players who are very good when you're in these more transitional moments, when you're in these, yes, of course, like they have the technicality to be able to play these quick passes, but they're doing that in relative space. Once you reduce those spaces right down, it becomes much harder to do that.
I think the reintroduction of Kobbie Mainoo has helped a lot in that sense, just because they have like an extra central body. His speciality is essentially short passes and a little burst of a dribble out of tight spaces. And you saw that with the build-up to the Cunha goal, how he was interchanging with Sesko, I think, or Bruno Fernandes. And it also, just because in the previous system, when you had Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes next to each other in the four-man midfield and the kind of two number 10s like quite far in front of them, there's such polar opposite profiles that it was almost too much of a stopper and too much of a 10, and just having somebody in the kind of an 8 between the 6 and the 10 to just knit everything together and, like JJ was saying earlier, kind of keep the midfield tighter in spaces. It seems to make more sense, and it's not like, oh, switch to a back four and everything's fixed, like kind of some people have reductively claimed, but I think the specific profile of Mainoo has definitely helped them progress the ball through the middle. I
think as well, Bruno Fernandes, like I don't think you can do it as what they've done as well without a player like Bruno Fernandes. And I think they've profiled him really nicely because they're essentially playing, again, to come back to Roberto De Zerbi, what De Zerbi often has is like a front line of four with the two centre forwards who you would usually expect to push the line back, dropping in to receive the ball. There was one of the few plays in the first half where Man United played it through the centre was just Fernandes dropping in off the front line, two Arsenal defenders like unsure as to who was supposed to go after him, which I thought was confusing because like that sort of stuff happens all the time in the modern game, and like Arsenal are the best out of possession.
There was a moment when Saliba definitely followed him quite far away from the line.
Because I think they did it. There was one time where they were confused as to who should go. Instead, they sort of pointed for Rice, who was doing a kind of double job between the two central midfielders, who came across, but he was nowhere near, and he left. I guess it might have been Mbeumo in the middle, and because he came across and Fernandes just played it first time round the corner, it like completely opened out the pitch, and I think that's just really good profiling. I think one of the criticisms I would have of Amorim was that he didn't use his players in the best positions or in the best roles that they could be in, and I think if you can get Fernandes playing in those pockets of space, dropping off the front line, he can play those first time passes better than pretty much anyone in the Premier League, and that will just completely open out presses. This is the thing for me, is that as they're playing at the moment, it's almost like they're playing, people will interpret this wrongly, but like lower table football. They're playing the football that teams in the lower table try and play, and because they've got better players, they're going to have more joy doing that. The question is, where does that plateau out? Does it plateau out like consistently finishing in the top four and getting Champions League, which may be all they need right now because it's a competitive Premier League. I suspect actually what's happened is that the tactical landscape has shifted and we're going to enter a bit more of a open period for the Premier League. There's going to be different winners each year. It could be the case that this approach with good players is good enough for them to win the league,
especially with the momentum.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see teams dominating in the way that Man City did in the past, and as a result, then it does change the landscape insofar as you can say, well, okay, maybe in the past we might have had to play this more possession dominant, controlling style to be able to challenge at the top. That's gone now, and I think therefore it raises a question of like whether or not this approach might actually, if you just want to win the league title every once in a while, and everyone else can only hope to do that, that's a pretty good plan.
Halt. Right? Two things I will say very quickly. In fact, you know what, Steve? Just one thing. Man United had the fortune and now misfortune of being very, very good at football when football did mean that you changed regularly and were very adaptable to win. So their winning is doing that. That's what that's what it was. Before then, they played differently. when they won most recently, they played like that, and therefore that becomes the way.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just it's a narrative which has power. I'm not saying it has no power or there's an absence of it, but I think just hypothetically, if Amorim had started to win with the back three playing in a very different way to the way, that would become the way, and everyone would say this is the way, and then that would have been the way. Do you know what I mean?
I think the trick is for them to never hire another permanent manager and just permanently have interim.
That's the Chelsea thing.
Yeah,
it seems to have worked well.
So just keep Carrick on an indefinite monthly rolling contract, like when you've had rent for a year and then it just goes monthly rolling, and he can just stay. And this wave of positivity never ends because it doesn't have a defined.
I like
endpoint.
it.
I agree.
My parents have a friend who has worn the same clothes for ever since they knew him at university. Now,
I am friends with your parents.
it is not the same clothes. He buys the same clothes every year,
like a Simpsons character.
But the funny thing is that he's been doing it so long that his clothes have become cool again. So suddenly he's the coolest guy. Yeah, like that guy could hang out in Hackney and people would be like, "This guy's got."
He's a broken clock, John.
And I kind of wonder if that's kind of what's happened with Manchester United.
The point was made. You didn't need to. You know, you'd already nailed
come
the
back in
metaphor.
fashion.
Can we end United on this stat, please?
Okay, fine.
Of the 21 interim managers that got the permanent job in the Premier League history, only 4 had a better record of points per game after they were given the job as permanent manager. Only 4 of 21 managers got better record after they got the job.
Was Solskjaer one of them?
Yeah. No.
Yes. No. Yes and no. Okay,
No,
let's
he
go to a break.
We don't know.
Oh, while we're breaking, though, I'm supposed to say, aren't I, Steve? Listener,
Is this the break?
hold on.
Are we on live?
No, we're not on the
live
break.
In the break.
We're not. This is sort of like a break. It's
Okay.
a break in fun, but we'll come back to fun afterwards. Ready? I'm going to read exactly what Steve's written for me here. Now, we like you, but do you like us? ? Well, now you have the chance to tell us. This sounds horrible. In a survey about your podcasting habits, not the YouTube comments. Ah ha 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 ha. That's right. In the episode description, you'll find a link to said survey. So, fill your boots, right, Steve?
Oh, no.
On top of that, 3 lucky entries. I would say entrants.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. But Steve has written entries.
I did not write that bit.
Who wrote it?
Our esteemed colleagues at the Athletic
Was it
Audio
Adam
Department.
Jones?
It might not be him specifically.
Name
but
and shame.
someone.
Adam Jones. Entrance Adam Jones.
He's
you
correct,
idiot.
right?
Entries?
Entries is just what you send in, and entrants are the people who are sending the thing in.
No, but it's 3 lucky entries will win £100 or dollars.
That
The
works
entry
both ways,
itself
doesn't it?
can't win
The entry
dollar.
can win, but the entrance can also win.
You can only win by entering an entry.
But only an entrant
Yeah, but
can
the
win. An
submission-
entry can't win because an entry isn't a
If
human.
you
Entry
write a
is
book and it
selected
wins
to
a
win,
prize,
though.
that book has won the prize, right? Even if you wrote it.
Yeah.
Only if it's the Man Booker prize. Is that still a thing? Is it
yeah,
still
it
called
is.
the Man Booker?
No, not Man Booker.
What's it called now?
It's
Booker.
just the Booker Prize.
What happened to Man?
It's a good question. I
That's a
I
far
wonder
deeper
this-
question than
I wonder the
to
same
ask
thing
in a
every day.
listener survey
It's woke
section.
gone mad. They've got Man out of the Man Booker. I don't know. I'm sure Man and Booker have just separated. Now, what am I saying again, Steve?
Do the survey.
Oh,
Do the
yes.
survey.
Well, on top of that, 3 lucky entrants will win £100 or dollars, depending on where you are, worth of Amazon vouchers too. So whether you're a long-time listener or a new one, we want your feedback. Go to theathletic.com/survey26. That's theathletic.com/survey26. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Let's play the Rondo.
No, say it properly.
The Rondo. Yes, okay, it's the Rondo. Now, here's how the Rondo works for new listeners. We have a theme, and then we go round in a circle, and the first person not to be able to name a thing from that theme is out of the game. It's the last person standing sort of affair, and it's called the Rondo. Now, for today's theme, club captains in the Premier League. So, not players who've maybe been captain for a game or two, although that sounds fun. Not that one. Just club captains. There's only 20 names on the list, of course. Let's begin with you, JJ.
Is John McGinn the club captain?
John McGinn is the club captain. Well done.
Mark Gahey.
Mark Gahey is the club captain of Crystal Palace. Congratulations. Well done.
Even though he plays for Manchester City now.
Yeah. Well, he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go for Martin Odegaard.
Martin Odegaard is the Arsenal captain, yes?
Granit Xhaka.
Granit Xhaka, yes.
Christian Romero.
Yeah. Sean Dyche is having a hard time in the corner.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes is, right? Yeah, he is, yeah.
Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, Virgil van Dijk is, of course. Virgil van Dijk also, I believe, the only person to have been captain for Liverpool. I think he started every game this season.
Come on.
Pascal Struijk.
If you get that one
What
wrong,
team is that?
Leeds.
Ethan Ampadu is the captain for Leeds.
But Pascal Struijk has worn the armband, that's why.
But he's not the club captain, is he?
Ampadu wears it.
Oh, I
every
don't
week.
know. According to this thing I'm on.
It's right, it's right.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's embarrassing, isn't it?
You're out of the game there, John. You're out of the game. Just proving that Leeds fans don't know anything.
Bernardo Silva
Bernardo Silva
is
yes.
the new club
Yeah,
captain.
he is. Okay, yeah.
Bruno Guimaraes.
No.
Is it
It's Jamal Lascelles.
He's not there anymore.
He
He's
was
still
in
there.
August.
Jamal Lascelles has played 2 games for Newcastle. What?
He's the club
The
captain.
club captain is
captain
different.
doesn't have
Is
to
he
play,
still there?
Yeah.
You have to get one more correct in order to win, Reuben.
Okay. Who have we not had?
Well,
Reece James.
Reece James is the Chelsea club captain. Congratulations, well done. Here's other names you could have had.
Ryan Yates.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go for.
Ryan Yates is the
It's
Nottingham
Josh
Forest.
Cullen, the Burnley one.
Yeah, Josh Collins, the Burnley.
Jared Bowen.
I can't keep up. Yes, Jared Bowen is
Tom Kearney.
Yeah, Fulham.
Brentford is Pinnock, is it?
Brentford's Collins. Nathan Collins.
Nathan Collins.
Yeah. Also, I'm surprised you didn't say Bournemouth.
Bournemouth captain
Adam
is...
Smith.
Adam Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lewis Dunk.
Lewis Dunk is the Brighton club captain. Yeah. Seamus Coleman is Everton's club captain,
yeah.
of course. We had Tom Kearney.
Just such a random bunch of names.
That's it. And then Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Joao Gomez.
Totti Gomez.
Totti.
I would say I feel it's probably a little unfair on you, JJ, because whilst I don't know if Newcastle have officially named Bruno Guimaraes as their club captain, if Jamal Lascelles has left.
So according to Newcastle's website, Jamal Lascelles' biography, it says Lascelles has retained the captaincy ever since being given it. So he remains club captain.
But that's what you do. You don't get rid of them.
But is he there? I thought you said he left the club.
No,
Yeah,
he was still
Lascelles
there.
became
he's
United's
still there.
captain at the start of the 2016-17
He's
still there.
employed to be the captain.
If he's still there, then he's the club captain. I'm sorry, I thought we were saying he'd left.
What does a captain
left the
even
club.
mean? They're
Well-
not at sea.
Who knows? Now, that was the Rondo. Congratulations to JJ for losing. John, you lost terribly, didn't you? With your own team.
Yeah.
How embarrassing for you. And Reuben, he has too much knowledge for his own good. I actually feel a bit sick about that.
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Anyway, much like how you two did in the Rondo, Arsenal stacked it, didn't they, in their game? We've spent a lot of time talking about Manchester United. Let's turn our attention now to the title race with Arsenal only 4 points in it now. Right, Steve. That's now 3 games in the Premier League without a win for Arsenal. Draws, of course, against Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. So what's going wrong? What do you think's going wrong, JJ?
I think it's probably mental pressure. And I think that is probably what you're starting to see. They are very much built around to create consistently, push teams back. When the other team defends really well, they end up getting out for corners. They've optimized themselves from set pieces. And every time they get a corner, it feels like they're going to score. And they often do.
Yeah.
And it feels inevitable. As I said before, and Arsenal fans went a bit nuts last week, is that it's not very fun to watch. Like, oftentimes I find myself just like, I just want to watch any other team.
I thought it was fun to watch this weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
But like, well, I don't know, not for Arsenal fans because they lost.
Not for
No.
Arsenal fans, no.
But there's a thing, and then like, they've got these amazing players that are under the control of their manager, as probably you should be, because they are consistently grinding out results and could well and probably will end up winning the league.
Mm-hmm.
But it's part of the thing with being a manager. It's not about coaching. Who's it? I think Gareth Bale was talking about why Alonso didn't work at Real Madrid. He says you don't need to be like, he's an amazing coach, but you don't need to be a coach at Real Madrid. You need to be a manager and manage egos, people, and situations, basically. And so Arteta is obviously a very good coach and has them well drilled. He's now managing them as people. He seems to have done that very well because it's a total mentality change from when before he was there till now.
Yeah. He's taught them how to avoid pickpockets as well.
Yeah, it's
which
really
is
important.
Very important.
Especially in London these days.
Of course.
Yeah.
They even changed his job title from like head coach to manager a couple of years ago.
To head honcho.
To reflect that.
He's head honcho now.
Just want to say I've actually never been mugged or been pickpocketed in London.
I
Don't want to give the false impression.
I got
that that's
almost mugged 4 times in the space of 1 month when I was 15.
Yeah.
None of them,
15.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was about 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that?
None of them successful and haven't been attempted mugged since.
That's the thing they don't tell you about London's muggers. They're around, but they're rubbish at mugging.
Well, some of them are. I got mugged. Anyway, Arsenal. I think it's probably to do with pressure. I still think they could end up winning the double, like doing Champions League as well, which is kind of. I think they'd be good enough for that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, but there's definitely certain parts of that. Until you get over the line, it's very hard to get there.
I've got the creaky chair. Did you hear that?
I did hear that. I always come back to when Andy Murray won Wimbledon.
Right.
Because it was like impossible for anyone from the UK to do that. And he did.
Judy.
I've won Wimbledon, Judy. On this, the day after Robert Burns' birthday.
Which comedian were you doing there? That wasn't Andy Murray.
I was doing him. He does Judy.
Judy. Andy Murray speaks a little bit like this.
That's good.
That's really
It's
good.
really
The accent's good.
Yeah. Do some more as Andy Murray.
Was Sean Dash, did you say? No, I'm not doing any more. I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? Because like people are going to talk about Arsenal bottling it. If yesterday Cunha hasn't scored that goal at the death, people probably say, "Oh, wasn't it incredible from Arsenal for going down?"
I don't think they would.
2-1 and
I think
coming back in.
the fan consensus at 2-2 was like, we have to win. This isn't good.
Yeah,
enough.
of course, and I would agree with that. But like, I do think that when they did feel the pressure after the first goal, which I don't understand why, it felt like they did everything.
I was going to tee up a question to you by saying that we were texting in the Tifo WhatsApp group. And as we said at the beginning, Arsenal had been, in complete charge of this game for 25, 30 minutes. They then scored and went 1 goal ahead, at which point you're thinking, okay, they're going to kick on and win the game. And then they sort of fell apart a little bit, seemingly under very little pressure. And it prompted a text from you saying, like, I don't know what they're doing.
Well, I thought they were uncharacteristically sloppy, right? It's like, and the thing that Arteta always goes on about is like it's the details that you focus on in these situations. And there was 3 moments, I think, running up to the goal, including the goal, where they were uncharacteristically sloppy. There was one where and Burma gets a run through because they lose the ball and the rest defence just isn't there, and Gabriel makes a weird decision to sort of step up and then drop off, and they were completely open. That's very uncharacteristic from Arsenal. There was the Bruno Fernandes chance where the ball was sort of played. They played the ball across the back line, and Saliba sort of like shields it out as though the keeper's right behind him, and then Fernandes nips in. Again, it's just like not taking like ownership of the situation. And then the Zubamendi, obviously mistake which led to the goal, which wasn't even under a huge amount of pressure. And it's the sort of thing that you see, I don't know, like maybe a fullback doing when they've ended up in the wrong position and they're under a little bit, like the idea of pressure is there.
They've lost their bearings.
Yeah, they've lost their bearings and they're on the wrong foot. And whereas with Zubamendi, it's like you're a pivot player. You play at the highest level. You're used to this level.
He's amazing at it.
Yeah, you're used to this level of pressure in a more difficult, like 360 situation.
Not as good as Michael Carrick, though.
Steve Hankey thinks he's much better, but
Stand by it.
It was those 3 situations where I thought they were really quite shaky in those moments. And then from that point onwards, I think, they were under the pressure of having to get back into a game where they should probably have still been 1-0 up.
Yeah.
And they weren't perfect. There was the questions that we were talking about before in terms of risk aversion and like but they still, for me, like they still did enough from that point onwards to probably not lose the game.
It was really weird to see this because like it was so early in the game, like you say, like a bit later in the game when the kind of stakes are going up,
and they
by the
dominated
minute.
to that point, right? In terms of like possession domination, which is what they want to do, right? So the game plan that they impose upon a game was basically worked out. And even the times that Manchester United did have a bit of possession, like in the run up to the goal,
in run up to the Arsenal goal.
I felt in those moments Arsenal like blocked out fine. They kept them sort of arm's length, and they were like, okay, we're not going to possess the ball for the whole game, but when the opponent have it, we'll keep them far away. But then from the goal onwards, even then they just seem to shake a little.
Things
bit.
are going too well.
I think as well, like the goals like that Dorgu scored and Cunha scored, they're not supposed to concede those. Like they don't really happen, and they come as like a little, not sucker punches, but just like, oh, that's not right, and then it just puts you off a little bit of balance. That's something I really want to see.
You have those games, don't you, though, where you've played in those games where you feel as though like everything is going wrong, and it's just like as soon as one goes in, you're like, it's just not going to be our day.
Yeah.
As soon as the second one goes in, you're just like, what's the point of trying, right?
They did
Yeah,
well
agreed.
to come back to 2-2.
And you feel a bit unsettled, and like this comes back to pressure as well. Like United maybe a bit off the pressure because they should to get a point away from the Emirates would be amazing for them. So that's like the pressure's all on Arsenal really to try and beat them there. But they're taking pings from long range, which isn't reliable or sustainable. You can't really rely on it. But sometimes you win games through that way. I remember when like Man City won the league. I remember when Vincent Kompany absolutely like thunder bastard thing in from like 30 yards.
I was behind the goal in that game.
Were you?
Were you the guy at the top of the stairs walking out of the stadium as he shaped up to shoot? I love it. The best thing about that was Aguero going, "No, Vinny, no, don't shoot."
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? So like if you're playing for Arteta and you're in a very controlled environment, the idea is that you do what the manager has told you because that's the control that you need to win, and sustainably and consistently it keeps working for them. Or is it because sometimes like with football, part of the magic of it is random things can happen. But if you've denied people the chance to do those things, you can't do them. And the way Arsenal build, they're never in positions to take those kinds of shots. And what they often try and do is they get them to the wide players, and then Saka. I mentioned this to John. I don't know if it's true or not because I've not researched it properly. But like Saka, someone on CoCom said that everyone seems to be showing Saka onto his right the entire time, so he can't come inside anymore. So you just do that, but he can go past you. He's amazing, right? He can go past you, but he doesn't create as much, and so he's not scored an open play for ages or something like that.
He's only got 7 goal contributions all season.
Yeah, and
But can we just pause on this to say that his chip through the 2 Man United players for Arsenal's first goal was like.
Yeah, he's still playing really well,
Unbelievable.
and like you say, he can go on the outside.
Yeah, but then like to break down these blocks, you have to have a little bit of inspiration and creativity. Try something outside of the box. But if you're kind of chained in or you're nervous to go against it, not because your manager told you not to do it, but because any deviation might lead to a slight like domino effect in the rest defense that you've got, you don't want to do it.
There's 2 things here. One of them is that like I don't think Arsenal fans should be worrying about Arsenal really. I think the way that they play is a little bit like low percentage sometimes in that they have to rely on set piece efficiency and stuff. But the whole point of that approach is that occasionally you are going to lose some goals because someone's going to ping it in from distance, right?
And as long as you've got Mikel Merino to just like lift the goalkeeper up and move him out of the way, then you'll consistently score from corners. But as long as the referee doesn't blow it as a foul and no one calls it cheating or anything.
Of course, if it becomes like a mental thing, then maybe it becomes a mental thing. But I think the whole point of this kind of control approach is that in the past, you would win 70% of your games playing this way. That means you're dropping points in 30% of your games. But like for the most part, you're going to be fine. So I think that Arsenal will be okay off the back of this.
4 points. I know it's less than it was before, but at this stage of the season, we're going to talk about this when it comes to West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Leeds shortly. 4 points is still quite a lot.
It's quite a bit. And I guess the worry is that they've been further ahead and dropped back a couple of times.
And they've done this in previous seasons.
This is the thing. I think that from the mental point of view, every year that they, for whatever reason, lead and then don't win the league, the following season, the intensity of the panic is greater when they show signs of wobbling. Like Kaya tweeted from the ground yesterday, she said, Arsenal fans in the Emirates need to relax. They were very good and deservedly in front until one mistake gave United away back in. Now every minor mistake is being groaned at like it's the end of the world. And
there was even some Arteta out on the timeline last night.
But it was booze. But James McNicholas wrote a very new balanced piece after the game saying Arsenal's biggest enemy in their title run will be themselves, basically.
Yeah. As is always the case with teams in first place on a run in like
this. I've been in those in stadiums when you can feel like it's not necessary. It's like if they win the league, it doesn't feel like it will be joy. It feels like it will be relief. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the PTSD of previous seasons doesn't help that. But
maybe they just need to get one out of the way. If they win one, maybe they'll go on and win a bunch. Yeah, they believe that they can do it. Here's the fixtures they have coming up. Of course, they're away at Leeds United next weekend, a team we're going to talk about shortly. Which is a tough fixture. Then midweek the following week, they host Chelsea in that EFL semi-final cup, second leg semi-cup. Then they're at home to Sunderland, a glorious return for Granit Xhaka, no doubt. Away to Brentford, home to Wigan in the FA Cup. And then here's a difficult run. This is now towards the end of February, beginning of March. Away to Spurs, home to Chelsea, away to Brighton, home to Everton.
It's not that bad.
I think that's tough.
With Champions League games thrown in there somewhere as well, which we don't know yet.
There presumably will be.
Yeah. It's worth saying we haven't mentioned the fact that obviously Arsenal have had to play Champions League games as well, whereas Manchester United haven't. So
Yeah.
like we talked before, like why would one team drop off suddenly? Well, they played Inter midweek, right? So like a big game.
What do you think about this as their final 4 fixtures of the season, though? All very winnable, in my opinion. I mean, you know where I'm going with this, Reuben. They start with Fulham, then they have West Ham, then Burnley, then Crystal Palace. You would think that an Arsenal champion team would win all of those games.
It'd be sad for Arsenal to win the title when they confirm Palace going down.
That will be sad.
It's the sort of game that Palace used to win. Like Arsenal was quite a popular scalp that we would take in previous years, but we are shit at the moment, so yeah, that won't happen.
Well, let's move on to talk. We just mentioned Leeds there. I think we should do that now, Steve.
Let's cut the Liverpool section, and so I think give us the Leeds bit, as you say, and we can get into that.
This was to be live in the show, though, rather than the. I'll do that again, but then you say do whatever you want, Joe. You're the main man here. Yeah, I liked when you said that before.
That's good.
Well, let's talk about Leeds now, Steve. What do you think?
I don't care.
Something got cut there. Now, we were going to do this a little bit later, but let's bring it forward because I watched. It was Brentford Forest? Was it Brentford were at home? I sat down on Sunday, and I thought, well, I could watch Chelsea hammer Crystal Palace. Sounds pretty boring. I could watch Villa Newcastle, but very presciently, I thought, no, that sounds really boring.
Most one game of all time.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch Villa just score from long shots over and over again. As is all they do.
Did they shorten that today?
Yeah.
Watkins' goal was from very close range, to be fair.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't care. Now, so I thought instead I'll watch Brentford Forest because that's clearly where that's where the action is going to be this weekend. In some ways, it was. Nottingham Forest I thought they were very good. Not in every way.
The protagonist of reality over there. Incredible. The game I watched ended up being the interesting one. Let's talk about that on the podcast.
That's true. Well, anyway, I watched that and I thought, Forest are good, aren't they? They've got loads of good football players. I just can't see them getting relegated. And I thought that about West Ham the other day. I watched West Ham and I thought, they're pretty good. They've got loads of good football players. They've won this game easily.
Awful timing for West Ham, this, isn't it?
What?
Like they won. It's back-to-back games, no? They've
won 2 in a row.
Yeah, they've just beaten Sunderland at home. They beat Spurs away, but then Forest also win at the same time, which really
indeed
sucks the joy out of it.
Now, this led me to my conclusion that the only team that feasibly could be relegated, incidentally, also the only team that I haven't watched in the last few games, is Leeds United. Yeah. So I tweeted that.
Is this like when toddlers, before their brains are developed, if you go out of the room, object permanence, they don't think you exist anymore and cry, and then you return and they're no longer crying.
Yeah.
So this is how you are approaching the relegation battle. Leeds are not on my telly, therefore they're in the championship.
They couldn't possibly be as good as these two teams. Largely of the people that weren't being really rude, the feedback I got to this was a lot of people saying like, it's the same tired old narrative that like just because they're a promoted team and these other teams are like, established Premier League teams, therefore they couldn't possibly go down, which I think is true. I actually think that's what happens in my head. And I also think it's amazing to me that I watch West Ham and Forest, like they have incredible players. I cannot believe that they're going to get relegated. I'm sure one of them will. It seems almost certain. John's included the Opta predicted table here, which says that West Ham have only an 8% chance, or no, about 10% chance of. Is it 10%?
No, it's 20.
Oh, it's 20. I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. Let me phrase it this way: West Ham are 81% likely to be relegated, have about a 19% chance of escaping. Leeds and Forest probably share the rest of the spoils there. So it seems most likely that West Ham will be relegated. But when I watch them and I look at the relative quality in their team, I find it absolutely astounding that's the case.
That's just the Premier League now, though, isn't it? Everyone's got so much money that we like bottom half teams sign good players from abroad. And I think was it Villarreal manager was saying that we had to sell one of our best players in Jeremy Pino to like a not very big Premier League team in Paris, which is true, but that's like the financial disparity. But then I think then a lot of fans of teams of that size become more frustrated than they might have been in the past because they're spending big money, but ultimately somebody's got to come 18th. You know.
Well, we were looking last night at the Deloitte Money League, weren't we? Laughing that Bournemouth had more revenue last season than Roma, which just seems like how could that be feasibly
With the
case?
smallest ground in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely extraordinary.
15,000 or something
They're
like
the
that.
25th
13, I think, so
most.
it goes
They're 25th in the revenue table for
It's the
last
Super
season.
League. They snuck it in.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? Now, anyway,
Don't hear it
It's
right
worth
over.
mentioning Spurs as well. There's still
Spurs too, and
1.5% chance of their relegation.
And Crystal Palace, we know. I mean, the Opta predictive table. These numbers change pretty regularly. I mean, I think before Forest won their game against Brentford over the weekend, they had like a 20% chance of relegation. Now they only have like a 8 or 9% chance. So these things can change pretty quickly.
I can't see. Watching Palace at the moment, is it like impossible to see where our next win comes from? But Munoz and Sarr have just returned, so hopefully something changes. But it's more like the atmosphere, Mateta wanting to leave and also playing through a knee problem. Glasner wanting to leave and Steve Parish not really letting him. It's horrible.
There's something about like the mentality, talking about how like Arsenal are feeling the pressure now, and maybe United didn't have so much. I think a lot of the teams who are in the mid-table, at some point they realise that we're not like we were close to being a Champions League run, but it's probably not going to happen. Yeah. And it just sort of middles out. How can you get super revved up? Yeah, 100% intensity every single week when you're like, but I'm going to finish mid-table. And so there's a little drop when you get more like 50-50, I'll win this one, lose this one. And then eventually what happens is that those teams start to get pulled towards relegation and they go, and then they start to play again and then they get out of it. And it happens quite a lot.
Well, one would hope, because in the case of Crystal Palace, it appears that they haven't had a victory since the 11th of December when they beat Shelbourne.
Yeah.
So when I that was in Dublin. I was at that game. And
Right.
We've not won in the league at home since the 1st of November.
Right. Yeah,
I
that's
think they'll
pretty
keep
bad.
dropping points until they're in amongst it and then they'll be fine again.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's all been. I mean, the story around Palace has been bad. We've talked about it a little bit on this podcast, but since that last league victory, Oliver Glasner has said that he won't be here at the end of the season, which I think it seemed like people might have been able to tell before he said it out loud. And obviously, Mark Gahey has just been sold as well.
Yeah.
Have there been any incomings?
Brennan Johnson.
Of course,
Who
Brennan
remains,
Johnson.
I believe, the most expensive January signing in the world so far this window.
Really?
Like 30-something million, is now our record fee.
Right.
But the gate, like, I know. But the Chelsea game this weekend was a great example of like the weaknesses that lay beneath that brilliant starting 11 that won the FA Cup final. Right,
Yeah.
so Eze gone, Gay gone.
Because we were surprised for the first half of the season that they were doing so well.
Yeah.
That wasn't expected.
But I did say, like, if Munoz gets injured, we're completely screwed, and that is kind of what happened. But like JD Cambo is a 19-year-old French kid who played like one season at Toulouse in their senior team. He has made a mistake that's led to a goal, seemingly in 3 of the 4 games he started this season. Something ridiculous. And then Wharton got sent off yesterday for a tackle that he wouldn't normally make. It's quite uncharacteristic. You could tell a mile off he was never going to get to that ball first, and he was already booked. And it's the sort of tackle that you make when you think,
Yeah.
you know, is that kind of fed up tackle?
Yeah.
Sounds like he's gone from Toulouse to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Toulouse.
Now, I mean, I suppose that you would assume statistically there's some hope for Palace, right? Because
Yeah.
like they probably only really need to get another like 6 or 7 points to actually survive. Yeah. West Ham are in 18th position today.
Well, we've
20.
got Forest away next week, which I'm going to.
That's a huge game.
That's big, yeah.
Another very big game. Leeds have Everton tonight, which is a big game for me for 2 reasons. One, because I need West Ham to stay up in order that somebody buys me lunch and I don't buy them lunch. And also I need Everton to finish 10th or above so that you buy me lunch instead of I buy you lunch, John. There's a lot of lunches at stake here, and I don't think people online appreciate just how important that is. It does come ahead of other things. Now, there we go. Who do you think, JJ, will be the relegated 3? I mean, I assume we can include Wolves and Burnley.
Wolves and Burnley, I think, are basically already gone. Like I said, I think Palace will be pulled into it, but will be out of it in a bit. I feel like West Ham might not be able to get out of there, but Leeds will be close to them.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I think there's a 5-point gap at the moment, and it's tempting to think of 5-point gaps in terms of like title challenges and be like, oh, that's overcomable. But rate of change, this is always a rate of change thing, right? Where you've got to put up more points than your opponent.
A friend of ours put it to us yesterday that all Leeds need to do, if they win 3 games, then West Ham need to win 6, which suddenly starts to feel a little bit tricky.
And I think that's why I think Leeds will be comfortable, because they've got those points on the board. It's why Forest have jumped right up, right, because they got 3 points at the weekend. That has reduced their chances of relegation by half, just winning one game.
So West Ham for you?
Yeah, it's just hard to see past it.
Reuben?
Yeah, I think West Ham too, but
West Ham 2? Wow.
Who are they playing?
I think West Ham as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also think Palace will finish 17th.
Very excitingly, do you know what the final game of West Ham's season is?
Arsenal.
It's Leeds.
Oh.
On the 24th of May.
It's also worth pointing out that Leeds beat West Ham in the first fixture.
Sure. But they're going to lose in the last game of the season. And then, therefore, they will be relegated. That's my prediction. West Ham are going to survive. And I'm going to eat a delicious lunch. It's going to be tasty. Now, from a delicious lunch to a delicious Scottish Football League story, yeah? Do you like that? Delicious was the...
I feel like you could have done some sort of Burns-related...
Was it
last night? Yeah,
Burns night last night.
It was. Yeah.
What is Burns night?
It's where you celebrate Robert Burns and poetry in Scotland.
Who is Robert Burns? He was a poet, was he?
He was. Yes.
What's one of his more famous poems?
Auld Lang Syne.
Yeah, do you like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tia Mouse.
Auld Lang Syne, my lord. Auld Lang Syne.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Auld Lang Syne, my lord. Auld Lang Syne. Auld Lang Syne, my lord. Auld Lang Syne. Old Lang Syne. Yeah, that's
another one of his best ones
It's
was
beautiful.
500 Miles. That was one of his best.
That's I love that one.
I believe he also wrote "Yes, Sir, I Can Boogie."
That's correct. He did write that. Except it was an old timey music. So he had the banging thing and the ding, 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 ding.
Yes, sir.
Aye, sir.
I can boogie.
I cannot boogieth.
Now, Martin O'Neill, back again, isn't he? He's back. Guess who's back? It's Martin O'Neill at Celtic. Now, just in case anyone hadn't checked in on Scottish football for a while, right, Steve, his Bohys drew 2-2 with surprise leaders Hearts over the weekend. That's what's written. I'll read it aloud. Now, they're ensuring, of course, that the Edinburgh side remain front runners for a shocking Scottish title. Yeah? Hearts only face Rangers or Celtic once more in the first phase of the Scottish Premiership. So the chances for the old firm to stop Hearts in their tracks are fast running out.
I mean, that means they'll play them twice more because they'll play them in the split as
I'm
well.
just reading what Steve...
But just for people who don't know, yeah.
JJ, firstly, do you think Hearts are going to win it? And secondly, can you re-summarise everything that Steve wrote so that the audience know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Premiership has been really fun to watch this year because Hearts have loads of money and investment from Tony Bloom.
Hearts of Midlothian.
Yes, Tony Bloom is involved, but it's more his, what's it, Campbelltown, is that what it's called? Is a data company, is that what they're called? Campbelltown or something like that?
Campbelltown?
That's not what it's called. He's got some
I know
company.
one of them
Isn't that
calls
where
the
Sol
Lizard.
Campbell's the mayor of?
That's right.
Which one of them has a company that's got lizard in the name?
Star Lizard, yeah.
Yeah,
Tony
which
Bloom's,
one's that?
It's Tony Bloom's company.
is
It's
it.
called Star Lizard, yeah. Right. Anyway, I can't remember the names of the companies. It doesn't matter. Just trust everything I say. It's reliable
I
information.
change my opinion all the time.
JJ, you just said it. It's Star Lizard.
Star Lizard. I know, but there's Jamestown Analytics. That's what it's called.
Not Campbelltown.
No, so I was close to it. That's a whiskey thing. Anyway, so Jamestown Analytics provide them lots of data. So they found all these really good players from all over the place, who are great at the Scottish Premiership. Claudio Braga being the most famous.
This is Hearts.
This is Hearts, yeah. And they've just been a revelation this year. And they are top of the league and deservedly so. Celtic have been all over the place.
Right.
They brought in a guy called Wilfred Nancy for a bit. Nancy, what we could call him. He is gone. That was one of the most disastrous manarial stints I have ever seen.
33 days, was it?
It was 33 days. Didn't go well. They're losing games they shouldn't have lost. Apart from, I think the one team that handed them a win was Aberdeen, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was it like 6-0 or something?
Yeah, it should have been about 18. It was one of the worst games Aberdeen's ever played. So that's happened, but then Martin O'Neill's come back twice.
Right.
And it's just
he was interim before Wilfred Nancy and then again afterwards.
He got Christmas and New Year's off and then he came back in.
Yeah.
Great.
And in between, he's been doing like punditry and all the things. So he's been being like, Rangers are well out of this. Now he's a manager and he's like, no, I think they're really in, he's got to change how he could just from being a media person to being a coach. And but it's like at Man United and whatever, it's like the adults are back in charge. Martin O'Neill's there just doing sensible things. Celtic should always be in the front foot and always be pushing the other teams back because they've got the best players, the most wages. That's what should happen. And they've been like that. Rangers obviously have been a mess for a while, but Danny Rawls doing really well with them, and it feels like they are now a sensible outfit.
Yeah.
So they are just now pushing Hearts, and what probably happen, in answer to your question, will Hearts win the league, is that they will inevitably have too much and come on. They'll get there in the end because Hearts will probably, if they can have them in. This is the first time they've done this, Hearts, right? So the mentality drop is unlikely because it's still like, well, it's Celtic that should win this league, not Hearts.
Yeah.
So they don't have that crushing pressure. But if it gets to the point where they're close to it, it's a bit like Leicester winning the league, really. So they've got this thing, but they're better than equivalently to what Leicester were in that league, I would say.
And do opposition teams still kind of underestimate them, even though they're top, because they're Hearts in that sense of like?
No, everyone's going at them.
Okay, fine.
So like
that's kind of what I mean. Like, you know how Leicester were able to just let.
Well, this happens all the time. It's like in Scotland, especially, a team does really well, and everyone's like, good. So we'll just sit back and let them do all the question answering. But the Hearts have been able to get by that so far. I just can't tell. I'd like the Hearts to do it because it would be a change, obviously, and it would break that duopoly, and that would be fantastic. But I think my long-sat pessimism means that it's unlikely. But with hope, there is a thing. It's funny as well. I thought everyone in Scotland would be like, yes, come on, Hearts. But they're not at all.
Really?
Yeah, they're all like, nah, I want my team to do it.
Is that because most people in Scotland support Celtic or Rangers?
No, because they like loads of Aberdeen fans I know do not want Hearts to win.
It's because the working classes always
Hibs
turn
fans
on each
do not
other.
want Hearts
Do you
to
know
win.
what it is? It's better the devil you know. So like, if Hearts win it, then they're the first team to break up the duopoly, and fans of clubs like Aberdeen maybe don't want a similarly statured club to have that.
It's kind of, there's lots more to it, which is very nuanced than to do with. I'm not going to explain it to you because it's just, if you live in Scotland, you kind of know it. You understand why there are certain things to do with certain clubs and why it is. But I want Hearts to win it because it would be fun.
Sure.
I would like that. But
I want Hearts to win it just so that someone else wins it.
I want Hearts to win it because I've got a Hearts shirt.
But
it's you remember in Succession when they buy Logan the wrong club? Yeah, it's that, and it says Succession on the back.
It feels like they've got quite far, Hearts, right? It's not like often you'll get like Aberdeen did at the beginning of last season, right? But often you see that happening for a few games and it sort of drops off. But they've got pretty deep, right? They're nearly at the cut-off.
I think they're genuinely good for it.
You know, Hearts also have the best chant in British football.
Do they?
Yeah, for a player called Claudio Braga. Claudio Braga to the tune of Radio Gaga.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but they've got a whole verse that leads into it. It's magnificent.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have to check that
All
out.
you need is Claudio Braga.
Yeah.
But now we must play
Claudio Brugu.
Well, that's the thing. You instinctively want to say Claudio Brugu in the second line, but that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Sorry for that accent.
Now, let's play Points Are Bad, okay? It's Points Are Bad time. What happened last week? Well, you'll recall, of course, that we were predicting for Man City Wolves. That was a big game, which we didn't talk about at all. And Arsenal, Manchester United, where I fear that people may have added some points. Now, the totals this time around. What a surprise, hey, Steve? What a big surprise. Some of us just know ball better than others. Reuben, you're not one of them. You came last in this game, but don't worry, because it was joint last with JJ, Kaya, and the 1-1 bot.
It was a bit of a mad week, wasn't it?
You all added 5. John, you next, sir. A little better than the rest, but not as good as some.
Well, I think it was Jack Pitt-Brook who picked for me, so I would obviously have got less than you.
He was good, actually, JPB. He did well. He added 4 points for you, so no barkering this week. But of course, not everyone can win just one, or sometimes everyone.
It's not the first time you've won in I think maybe this season. But I see we're going to lean into this.
I've been holding back, like Man United. I've been holding back, and now I'm ready to go and win 15 games in a row.
But he can only win when everyone assumes he's going to lose.
Yeah,
and then now that he's back on top, it'll plateau out.
That's it, yeah.
Anyway, I added 3 points.
Low ceiling divine.
Because you'll recall that I said not only did I win in terms of numbers, but I won spiritually also, because I predicted Man United would win 2-1. And I don't think anybody else here said that they would win. They didn't. No one else said that. I'm the best. Okay? Also, for Man City Wolves, I said 1-0 Man City, and it was 2-0 to Man City, so I just added the 1 point there. Now, of course, Reuben, you're sort of last on the list, but are you last in terms of the overall scoring? No, you're nowhere near
I'm
last.
Top.
Yeah, you're top. JJ, you get to pick again, because as well as having joint last this week, you are last overall on 107 points. So I'd like you to pick the 2 upcoming fixtures, please, that we should predict for this weekend.
Can we run through the table first before we pick them?
Yeah, sure. Okay. JJ, you're in 7th. No, you're in last on 107 points. I'm just ahead of you, just a smidgen on 90. Then Kaya on 86, John on 84, Reuben also on 84. The 1-1 pot, of course, 64, quite far
That was you
ahead
last
there.
season.
That was me last season.
I think
That's why I haven't won for a while.
Massive asterisk on your win last season, by the way.
Well, I'm like it's an asterisk on all of my. Am I allowed to say that? Something got cut because I compared my situation to a real life situation, and that's not allowed. Now, it's joint first place, Reuben and John. It's getting really hot down there. JJ,
I'm picking teams, games.
You're picking games for this coming weekend.
A Premier League classic, Liverpool v Newcastle United on Saturday night.
Oh, that's very tricky. Who's at home? Is
Liverpool,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And then on Sunday, I think, because we've talked about them so much and we don't know what's going to happen, it's got to be Man United versus Fulham.
Wow, yeah, okay.
United at home.
That's going to be an interesting one. United at home. Okay, let's begin with you, JJ.
Yes, Liverpool have no centre-backs and they're a bit of a difficult moment, but Newcastle are terrible to watch, especially away.
Especially away from home, yeah.
But I'm going to say 4-3.
4-3 to Liverpool.
Yeah, because I'm just...
I hope so.
Football's fun again. I'm enjoying it again all of a sudden.
Sure.
Teams are doing things that they haven't been for ages. It's good. I get to enjoy it rather than watching 0-0s.
This game is going to be 0-0.
Yeah. Especially with Newcastle, yeah. And then Man United Fulham. Hot diggity. I'm going to go 3-2.
Be like you.
3-2. Okay, fine. Right, next up to pick on the list would be Reuben. That's you.
First, Liverpool.
Actually, technically it's Kaya, so I'm sorry. Steve, will you pick for Kaya?
Sure. So
Unless we want to have Eden pick for Kaya today.
do.
Eden's shaking her head. I think
No,
that would be
she-
good,
no,
though. No?
the fear in her eyes.
Okay, fine, Steve, go on.
Okie dokie. So Liverpool versus Newcastle at home. I'm going to go for, I think, 2-1 to Liverpool.
Okay.
And then Man United versus Fulham. I think that United are going to do it again, and that's going to be a 0-1 to Fulham.
No one to Fulham. They're going to do it again.
As in win against teams on the counter-attack, as discussed through the whole
I
podcast,
see. I
and
got
lose
it.
to a Fulham.
It was a clever joke, poorly executed, Steve. Now, okay, good to know. Right, so Reuben, now it's you.
Okay, now it's me.
Liverpool, Newcastle.
Can I have Liverpool 1, Newcastle 0?
I believe you can have that. And then Manchester United versus Fulham.
Manchester United.
Manchester United.
Manchester United. At this moment in time, I think United will win. Will they? No. Can I go 1-2?
To Fulham?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
1-2 to Fulham.
Yeah. As in 2-1 to Fulham.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2-1 to Fulham. But
Yeah, you
1-2
can.
as Joe reads out the home.
I understand
score.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
John, you're next up.
Tempted to go 0-0 on Liverpool, but they do give away goals, don't they? Maybe I'll go 2-2 on that one.
Okay.
And then 2-1 Man United's gone, has it?
No, incredibly, that's still
I'll
available.
go for that one then.
That's what I actually want.
That's what I would have
the
chosen.
easy pick.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just left up to me now. Fine. Well, I would say Liverpool, Newcastle. Steve, can you just run me through what's been taken?
2-2 has been taken, 1-0 to Liverpool has been taken, 4-3 to Liverpool has been taken, and 2-1 to Liverpool has been taken.
Okay.
And of course 1-1.
I mean, I think Newcastle might win that
Didn't
game.
I say 2-2?
No.
You said 2-2? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
2-2 has
Oh,
been
is that the
taken.
first? Yeah.
I think Newcastle might win that game to 1-0. 1-0.
Okay,
Yeah.
0-1.
I think Arne Slot's going to get sacked before the end of the season.
Ooh,
That's my big
incredible
prediction.
take to drop right at the end of the show as well.
With no
Okay.
time to scrutinise it.
That's when all
That's
my
what we've
best
got
takes
time
come
for.
out. Yeah.
Your comments will be fun this week.
And then Man United versus Fulham.
Yes,
So 2-1's been taken now, hasn't it?
it has to both to Fulham and to Man United.
3-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fulham are 7th, you know.
I know. Yeah. Arsenal are first,
They're very
mate.
good.
Man City are second. What are you talking about?
I've just, as in, like, you know,
The
Fulham
higher up the league, the better they get beaten.
as in, like, they started badly, Fulham, this season, but they've, you know,
I
nature
know.
of the table.
We haven't talked about them because we don't do it on this podcast.
Yes.
But they had a good result at the weekend as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Playing
I also
very, very
love
well.
the fact that we had a whole section to talk about Leeds where we talked about Palace. And
Yes. I win in the most minor way possible.
Listen. Leeds have only an 8% chance of going down. So it's going to be a big surprise when they get relegated. That's all that we have for today. JJ Ball,
Yes.
John, I forgot your name.
Yes, also.
Reuben.
Yeah.
Steve Hankey.
Yeah.
And Eden. There you go. There's a woohoo in the background. We'll be back on, Friday this week.
Thursday.
Well, could be. Yeah. We're going to record Thursday morning because it's the final game of the Champions League group league phase.
Yes.
And they're all playing at the same time Wednesday night. So we'll be recording Thursday morning, and I don't know when that'll come out. Thursday late or Friday morning, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, see you later in the week. Bye-bye.